A masked protester holds a smoke flare at a demonstration against French government plans to freeze state workers' pay and cut 120,000 public jobs. On October 10, 2017 in Nantes, Western France, credit Loic VENANCEAFP France's 9 main unions united for the first time in a decade in public sector protests against President Emmanuel Macron's plans to freeze pay and shed 120,000 state workers in 5 years. 30% of flights were cancelled from French airports and many schools shut. Yet in a boost to Mr. Macron's reform drive, turnout was relatively low. Police said 209,000 people from among France's 5.4 million public workers took to the streets around France, while unions said it was double the number. The Education Ministry said less than a fifth of the country's teachers had gone on strike and public transport was running more or less normally. Activists attacked the front window of a bread bank branch on the sidelines of a demonstration against state sector reforms on October 10, 2017 in Paris. Credit Eric FEFERBERGAFP. There were a few sporadic clashes between protesters in Paris and police, who made 8 arrests. The protests were the 4th round of demonstrations in France since September aimed at forcing France's 39-year-old centrist head of state to reverse reforms, which unions called a deep disappointment. In the space of a few weeks, Macron has gone from being Jupiter to Thatcher without any warning, said Pierre-Marie Ganotzi from the FSU, France's biggest state sector union in the southern Bouches-du-Rhône département. The French president's plans to water down a wealth tax have seen the left dub him president of the rich. He has also faced accusations from opponents and the unions of treating workers with contempt after he was recorded describing a group of workers at a struggling factory as wreaking havoc. Emmanuel Macron tells protesting workers to stop wreaking havoc. 2007. The outburst came weeks after he blasted opponents of reform as slackers. As crowds gathered near Paris Place de la République, one placard read "Slackers at the World Unite," while another featured portraits of Mr. Macron, his Prime Minister and Finance Minister reading "The ones wreaking havoc." But the movement has so far not reached the scale seen as necessarily to force the government into major U-turns, analysts say. On Monday, Edouard Philippe, the Prime Minister, insisted the government had no plans to change course, while assuring public sector workers they were not at all unappreciated. The government has announced plans to cut spending by €16 billion, £14.3 billion next year via measures that include freezing civil servants' pay and cutting nearly 1,600 public jobs, the first of 120,000 posts to go by 2022. State sector workers are angered at his plans to reduce sick leave compensation by making the first day unpaid. Strike protests called by 9 unions representing 5.4 million public sector workers on October 10, 2017 in Paris. Credit Eric FEFERBERGAFP. He has also urged regional governments who have seen the funding from Paris cut by €450 million. Thierry Arnaud, political editor at BFM TV, pointed out that despite appearances the unions remained highly divided and there was no sign for now of any rising tide of discontent. Frederick Dabby of the IFOP polling agency said that unless rolling strikes ensued, young people angered by cuts to student housing subsidies took to the streets. The coast appeared relatively clear for the president. What is positive for Emmanuel Macron is that he is seen as facing down the street and implementing his program, he said.